Postseason men's college soccer is upon us. It's a crisp late fall afternoon on the campus of Georgetown University where the Hoyas host longtime rival, the Pitt Panthers and Tom Greaser. This is a rivalry that dates back early in the Big East Conference.
And it's a rivalry that Georgetown has absolutely dominated, 21-6 all time. But these teams haven't played since 2012, and under the leadership of Jay Vidovich, this is a different Pitt Panthers team.
It's different. Pitt never advancing past the first round of the NCAA tournament during their Big East days. Their first win the other day against Lehigh, and they're doing it on the backs of Mr. Kiza.
The two-time All-ACC performer leads Pitt in goals scored with 12 this year. As a junior, he's already second all-time in school history with goals scored. A powerful, dynamic striker that has great timing getting onto the balls in the box.
Kiza's the center of attention for Pitt. Georgetown, a little bit of offense by committee, but often the anchor is the central midfielder, Mr. Jacob Montez.
And Montez, the Big East Midfielder of the Year, has had a breakout performance in his junior campaign. A dynamic player running with the ball. There will be a couple of times this match where Jacob Montez will show you some absolute brilliance.
Who will advance to the Sweet 16 of the men's NCAA soccer tournament? We'll find out next on the Big East Digital Network. The national anthem's concluded, and we are ready for soccer here. The second round of the NCAA tournament. The number 3 overall seed, the Georgetown Hoyas, hosting the Pitt Panthers. Pitt coming off of the first NCAA soccer win in the postseason in university history. Dan Helfrich alongside Tom Greaser. And Tom, it's a familiar starting 11 from the game against Lehigh.
Yeah, and there are some talented freshmen in the midfield. Some all-freshman ACC performers. Noel from France, Ordonez from Spain. Jay Vidovich has gone all over the globe to build this program.
In the goal for Pitt, Ari Amon, we'll talk about him as the game ensues. For the Hoyas, Achara unable to play today as he nurses a lower body injury, and so the midfield by committee on display again.
Yeah, the senior Achara went down in the second half of the Big East final, and it will be sophomore Zach Riviere who gets the start today, and it's also freshman Dante Polvera starting in the center midfield for the Hoyas.
The Hoyas going with Tomas Romero as part of their goalkeeper by committee. But first, let's talk about Ari Amon, the redshirt junior from nearby Woodbridge, Virginia.
And he's a transfer from Penn State, and he has helped this Pitt program, who has challenged themselves all year long playing against the best competition.
And I mentioned before, Tom, it's the freshman from the Philadelphia Union Academy, Tomas Romero, getting the start. Romero yet to lose on the season.
Yeah, and you look at that, .43 goals against average, and it's his turn up today as it was Nicopolitis in the Big East final manning the goal for Brian Weiss.
It'll be referee Sergio Gonzalez, a familiar face in the manning things in the middle today, wearing the orange and black referee top. And it's exciting to be back in the NCAA tournament. The Sweet 16 awaits the winner of this match. And, Tom, one of the things we always look for in the Georgetown match is where will be the line of pressure that the opponents put out there.
Yeah, and if you think about the Pitt Panthers and some of what they're trying to accomplish today, it is defending forward. In addition to that quick starting mentality, Jay Vidovich wants to make sure this Pitt Panthers team has focus from minute one, but defend up the field, and when they get their chances, finish them off. Coach Vidovich thought they wasted about 4 or 5 opportunities in their first round match.
It was a 2-0 win at home against Lehigh that earned the Panthers the right to face the Hoyas this afternoon. You can see some leaves blowing around on the screen. It's a gusty day here in Washington, D.C. A lot of rain overnight. Shaw Field appears to have come through it quite well. And, Tom, the keys for Georgetown today, the depth is going to be tested.
No doubt. We talked about the absence of Achara, but all year long, Brian Weiss has said this is the deepest team he's ever had, and it's really in that attacking third, a lot of interchangeable parts. You think about home cooking, this Hoya team, 9-0-2 on the campaign here at Shaw Field.
There's Rio Hope Gunn, safely back to Tomas Romero. Hope Gunn back for the second consecutive match after missing 5 with an injury.
Yeah, and the junior center back, so important for what Georgetown likes to do defensively.
Kiza unable to get a foot on that. We highlighted him at the open, Tom, but Edward Kiza, the junior from Uganda, really is the fulcrum that this Pitt offense works through.
Yeah, he is a prototypical striker, the number 9. Great sense around the goal. We talked about the timing he has of getting dangerous runs into the box, and that's something that Hope Gunn and his freshman counterpart, Daniel Wu, the communication between those two center backs will be key in defending those back shoulder runs from Kiza.
Here's freshman Dante Polvera picking up a loose ball. Now Riviere overlap from the dangerous Dylan Nealis. Nealis, double team coming. It's Anthony Harding defending. And a good double team there from Harding and Dexter. Dotson under pressure to the end line. Now Nealis. Easily grabbed by Amon. And Jay Vidovich, Tom, perhaps has not faced a defensive player who can create as much havoc on the attacking end as Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Dylan Nealis.
Yeah, Nealis, the 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, won it as a junior and a senior, but it's the total football from Dylan Nealis. He is a dynamic attacking player, bombing up and down that right sideline.
Here's right back Kyle Sessick retrieving the ball. He's another Woodbridge, Virginia product. Excuse me. He's a sophomore from Philadelphia. Wu, an errant touch, but Zawadzki does well to repossess. And then a foul whistled on Dexter. Dexter, the junior from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, and Dexter had a little international experience training in Germany. You know, Brooklyn to Germany to Pittsburgh. He's seen the world.
There's a few other places in the world than those 3. Here's Wu. Zach Riviere, 5 goals on the season, including 3 at UCLA. Riviere gets on the end of one from Dotson. Pulls it back, but easily read by Arturo Ordonez. As Riviere got free. First touch from Montez, a little step over. And a layoff from Polvera to Montez. Slips Riviere through, back to Polvera. Little scoop pass. Doesn't get through, but Polvera retrieves. Dotson sees Nealis to his right. Dylan gets to it and scores! It's Dylan Nealis from Derek Dotson, and the senior puts the Hoyas ahead in the 5th minute.
And what a bright start for the Hoyas. They were sharp in and around the top of the box, and Nealis, we talked about it, bombing up and down the right side, and he beats Amon to the near post, and what a start for the Georgetown Hoyas.
And Amon will want to have that one back, as Nealis found the crevice between his left arm and the near post. There wasn't much of an angle there.
No, there wasn't, Dan, but it is the second time in the first 5 minutes that Georgetown has been able to get all the way to the end line. That play started on the ball that Riviere tried to chop back across the center of the box, and then Georgetown regained possession. Pitt was unable to clear it. Georgetown got on that second ball, and there was a very nice interchange with Montez and Polvera that started that play.
And the favored Hoyas go up. Such an important goal early in the match. The Hoyas playing without senior Achara. And we highlighted it just moments before the goal, the threat that Dylan Nealis provides to any of the opponents. And that was on full display after a beautiful assist from Dotson.
And you think, Dan, this Georgetown team has only conceded 9 goals all year.
Tom, we talked about home cooking. As this graphic shows, home sweet home. The Hoyas have not lost at Shaw Field since November of 2018. In fact, that actually wasn't at Shaw Field.
It was actually, that game had to be moved to Cooper Field, and Cooper Field is a place that Coach Weiss does not ever want to play a game on. You know, they lost to Michigan State there on that artificial turf surface after Thanksgiving. They lost to Louisville and St. John's last year on Cooper Field. So Georgetown loves playing on this natural grass surface at Shaw.
And the field was resurfaced in the offseason. It's actually been not a lot of inclement weather throughout the year. About an inch of rain overnight, and the field appears to have absorbed it very well. Sean O'Hearn, the junior, left back, finds classmate Montez. Ordonez and Dotson battle. You see the wind affecting the aerial balls. Kiza came from an offside position. And the Hoyas, as they are apt to do, restarting quickly. Harding, poor ball cut out by freshman Polvera. Polvera and J.B. Fisher both alternating spots in the midfield. Here's Dotson. He has Nealis to his right again. Nealis can't get to that, as Bryce Washington, who is one of the goal scorers in Pitt's midweek win against Lehigh, intercedes.
Yeah, but you can see the challenge, the way Georgetown plays, that poses on Pitt's defense. Washington, one of the center backs, has to go all the way out on the left side to cover that run from Nealis. It just completely destroys Pitt's shape defensively.
Winner of this match will get the winner of Louisville and UC Davis. That matchup in California later today.
It's a Louisville team, the only team that has beaten Georgetown this year.
Overlap coming from Klein. Wu. Clearance straight up in the air. Romero able to grab. Klein, a transfer from Providence, so familiar with these Hoyas.
Yeah, he played 3 years at Providence. He was on that 2016 team that made the Elite Eight.
Providence, one of 3 Big East teams still alive in the postseason after defeating the New Jersey Institute of Technology at home midweek. Here's Montez on the dribble. Good ball to Riviere. He prefers his left foot. He'll shoot with that foot. Save.
And you can see how quickly Georgetown, we talk about possession with purpose. They're winning the ball and going at speed and getting numbers in there. Riviere wants that one back. Pitt's going to have to get better organized defensively, as Zawatsky frustrated that he's called for that foul in the midfield.
That was our first look at Petkovic, the exciting freshman from Serbia for Jay Vidovic's Panthers.
Yeah, and he played on the NYCFC Academy team as well, so Polvera and Petkovic know each other very well. And you look at Petkovic and Noel, we talked about 9 goals this year for that freshman center midfield duo, both of them recognized by the ACC as all freshman performers.
And Tom, you spend time preparing to watch this Pitt team, a team we're not as familiar with, and you see the body of work. What a schedule they've played this year. The only team to defeat Virginia, and they did that on the road in emphatic 2-0 fashion. But big-time games and big-time wins all over that schedule.
Yeah, and Coach Vidovich talked about as part of the project of rebuilding this Pitt as Montez breaks out.
Montez. Dotson left it. Montez wanted it back. Hoyas still recycle possession and an errant clearance.
But Jay Vidovich talked about kind of this project at Pitt to make them relevant on campus. He wanted to challenge their team, and it's the first time they were able to play against Indiana in school history. They lost that game in double overtime, but that really gave them confidence at the start of the year. They could play with anybody.
Here is Noel. He'll find Klein to his right. Klein against O'Hearn. Sean forces him back. And here's Sesek. First spell of possession for the Panthers. We're in the 11th minute. And it's a goal from Dylan Nealis that staked Georgetown to a 1-0 lead here in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Walty, the Swiss central midfielder, is more of the holding player, allows Petkovic and Noel the freedom to attack.
And Walty will be very important for Pitt today, matched up against Jacob Montez, the all-everything junior, in that kind of attacking midfield role for Brian Weiss.
O'Hearn, a great ball to spring Riviera, now Nealis. Early ball looking for Dotson, just out of reach of his outstretched left foot. But there again, you see the quick switch of the play, and the grass cutter there by O'Hearn set it all up.
Yeah, and it's 2 balls, and Georgetown breaks down the right side, just breaking lines of this Pitt defense.
Zawatsky, good layoff to Montez in tight spaces. Tom, as you look at the far side of Shaw on our screen here, you see Dexter adjusting his defensive position now to deal with Nealis.
Yeah, and Dexter's the type of player that wants to get forward, but because of the pressure that Nealis applies, kind of forces him to drop deeper and deeper.
Nealis in a long line of attacking outside backs at Georgetown. Really started before the Weiss era with Brandon Lieb. And then in the Weiss era, the likes of Josh Turnley, Keegan Rosenberry.
Yeah, and with the way that Georgetown likes to play, building out of the back, really stretching the field with their wide fullbacks, Dylan Nealis has become a master of it.
And lest I forget, Dylan's older brother, Jimmy, one of the best left backs the program has ever produced.
Of course, Jimmy was on that national runner-up team for Brian Weiss in 2012, where they fell to Indiana in the national championship match.
Good win of O'Hearn against Klein. Then Ordonez steps in front of Montez, but he retrieves. Dotson has it behind the defense. Dotson to his left, peels away brilliantly. Right-footed shot, goal!
Derek Dotson, hello, Mr. Dotson.
And Derek Dotson, the junior, puts an exclamation point in the 13th minute on this Hoya postseason beginning.
This is everything that the All Big East performer does. Skill, strength, and what a finish from the number 9, bending that one into the top right corner, and the Hoyas up 2-0 less than 15 minutes into this match.
And what a start for Georgetown, the 9th of the year for Dotson, and what a nightmare for Jay Vidovich and the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah, this is not what Pitt wanted. We talked about having a mentality right from the beginning of this match, and Dotson just spins away and hits that one perfectly. What a goal for the junior striker, a goal and an assist for Dotson already. But Dan, you're right. Pitt, it was that mentality from the beginning that Jay Vidovich stressed. He wanted to make sure right from the beginning Pitt was applying pressure, and it's been Georgetown who has been on the front foot.
Dotson and Nealis, 2 of the 3 co-captains and the only 2 in uniform today, as Achara unavailable, have each scored, setting the tone for their underclass teammates. Riviere on a dead sprint against Walty. Now Dotson. Georgetown sensing the opportunity now, Tom, to get another.
Yeah, we've seen all year Georgetown, they can sense blood, and when they are clicking like they are, moving the ball with purpose, sharpness.
Hope Gunn deals well with the pressure from Kiza. Little diagonal ball looking for Dotson. And Derek Dotson's movement off the ball today, Tom, has been superior.
Yeah, he's finding pockets of space. And then, look, Pitt had 2 defenders there. And Dotson with the skill to spin away from them, and then the composure and class to just bury that second goal for Georgetown.
Zach Riviere turns into pressure, allowing Petkovic and the Panthers to gain possession. 15th minute of play at Shaw Field. An extraordinary beginning to what Georgetown hopes is a run deep into December. Wu back to classmate Romero. That ball nearly a souvenir for us in the press box today.
Yeah, the wind knocked it down.
And Tom, if you're Jay Vidovich right now, what adjustments might you be able to make, formation, tactics, in the run of play, finding yourself down 2 against a superior Georgetown side?
Well, I think what Pitt is doing right now, they've got to get their foot on the ball first and foremost, because keeping possession is one of the ways that you can deal with that vaunted attack from Georgetown. And Pitt has to find ways to connect passes. The center of the midfield, we've talked about the 2 freshmen. We haven't really called their name, the 2 all-freshman performers for Coach Jay Vidovich. Need to find the ball so they can get some service to Kiza.
Vidovich, one of the great coaches in the country, took his Wake Forest side to 4 consecutive Final Fours and did win a national championship.
Yeah, and with the win against Lehigh, Coach Vidovich earned his 300th career victory in college soccer. Really impressive run for him.
And Brian Weiss, who's accomplished so much in his 14 years on the hilltop, Tom, does not have that elusive championship ring.
Yeah, but for the second time in school history, the Hoyas have that Big East double, regular season and tournament champions, and they've won 3 straight Big East tournaments.
Dotson, a quick turn, dispossessed. Here's Kiza against Hope Gunn, and Hope Gunn does well to force him backwards.
In there, as Kiza tries to lay that back, it's just a giveaway and frustrates Coach Vidovich because he understands Pitt has to get their foot on the ball here to slow the momentum down of Georgetown.
There's O'Hearn.
And look at this. The last time the Hoyas were the overall number 3 seed, they did advance to that 2012 championship where we talked about Jimmy Nealis and his teammates falling to Indiana. Younger brother hoping this Hoya group can make a similar run.
That championship game, Tom, in the unlikely host city of?
I can give you the state. Alabama.
Ball falls to Dotson. Oh, and they say Dotson committed a foul. Amon did save it. Hoover, Alabama, the host of both the 2011 and 2012 College Cups. This year's will take place in Cary, North Carolina.
Dotson called for a foul there. Amon with good, strong hands nonetheless.
Noel and referee Sergio Gonzalez in an animated conversation. As the frustration mounts for the Panthers. Here's Rothrock. This ball easily read by Ordonez, but Rothrock wins it back. And you can see Vidovich, Tom, on the sidelines, a bit shell-shocked. Certainly did not expect to see his team down 2-0. Again, this Pitt team has competed all year against the top teams in the country, beat UVA in emphatic 2-0 fashion on the road in Charlottesville.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to Clemson in the ACC tournament 1-0, and they find themselves down 2 already.
And then Sessick fouls Rothrock. And frankly, a silly foul by Sessick there, giving Georgetown a dangerous restart opportunity.
Yeah, and it allows Georgetown to send Hope Gunn and Wu forward. Good targets. Nealis is a great target, an athletic target for Georgetown.
Rothrock 7 assists on the season. Perhaps none more memorable than late in the match at Maryland. One of Georgetown's many defining road victories on the season.
Yeah, and you think about that goal, it was Derek Dotson getting on the end of it, and Dotson just has been spectacular here today.
So Rothrock, after a conference with Nealis, will take the free kick. Not a spot you practice a lot of free kicks from. It'll be a driven ball and a goal. It's an own goal. Wu hit it, then off the shoulder of Ordonez, I believe, and the Hoyas putting it to the Panthers.
And you talked about it, a silly foul. And what Rothrock does here is he hits this ball with pace. It causes so much problems for defenders, and it was Ordonez who deflected that one off of his shoulder. But from 3 yards out, ball hit in with pace, and Georgetown up 3-0, 20 minutes in.
And we look at the Pitt Panthers in a huddle, but is the huddle, Tom Greaser, too little too late?
Yeah, this is a Georgetown team that is flying on all cylinders right now. They are sharp on the ball. They are moving it quickly and decisively, and they are taking advantage of their chances.
And Arturo Ordonez, the freshman from Spain, appeared, frankly, not to be ready for that ball to get past Wu. But to your point, Tom, Rothrock, who will not get credit with an assist on an own goal, hits the perfect ball for that situation.
Yeah, it's so hard to defend as Dotson finds some space.
Against Washington, near the corner flag. He'll peel away and expecting an unmarked Dylan Nealis. Instead finds Dexter. Early ball looking for Kiza, but he's alone, stranded up front. Kiza against O'Hearn. Noel to Sesic. Overlap back to Noel. Good work from the Panthers here. Early ball cut out by Hope Gunn, but the first corner of the match here in the 21st minute taken by Pitt.
And if you think about that, that was really the first time that Kiza was able to show his strength, held up against O'Hearn, and allowed Pitt to kind of join the attack and earn this corner kick.
Taken by number 19, Veljko Petkovic.
It'll be Petkovic to take. He'll hit the in-swinger with the left foot.
And the wind swirling with the in-swinger here.
Romero does well to read it and easily catches. Really the first moment for Mr. Romero here in his first NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, and you talk about the depth at Georgetown. Coach Weiss has 2 starting goalkeepers. You know, in previous years we've talked about if you don't have a starter, you know, if you have 2 goalies, do you really have a starter? They truly have 2 starters this year, and the team has bought into it. Both goalkeepers have bought into it.
Coach Weiss gives a lot of credit to assistant Brian Boole, who trains the goalkeepers, and really, you know, they operate as a unit.
Yeah, and the competition has been good for both Romero and Nicopolidis. They're challenging each other each day. They're making each other better. And there's no ego involved. And that's really hard with young college soccer players who are, frankly, deserving to start and play 90 minutes.
But it's worked so far, Tom. And Coach Weiss, I think, says, let's keep that going.
No doubt about it. You know, it's one of the things, once you get into postseason play, do you change what you've done throughout the year? And Coach Weiss basically said, look, this is what has gotten us here. We're alternating games in goal. We're going to bring subs in, as we're seeing right now. Jack Beer, the tournament offensive player of the year, enters, and freshman Will Sands comes in. Coach Weiss has depth. He believes in it, and he's not going to let that depth sit on his bench in an NCAA tournament game.
Tom, how much of an advantage today for the 16 teams that are hosting, given that their 16 opponents all played, most of them at night on Thursday?
Yeah, it's something that I talked to Coach Vidovich about, and he said, you know, it's an opportunity and a challenge. as Montez bursts through the midfield.
Montez finds Sands. A sliding hard challenge from Sessick.
And that's really the first time that a Pitt Panther has gotten in on a hard challenge. You know, they're down 3-0, but a good challenge here from Sessick getting in. Good tackle on Sands.
Beer to hit the corner. Tom will finish that thought from Coach Vidovich after this corner. Georgetown leads 3-0. Dotson Nealis in an own goal. As Beer to take. Wu heads harmlessly wide of Amon's net.
Yeah, and Coach Vidovich was saying the opportunity is great, and it's one that since they lost in the semifinals of the ACC tournament, they were very rested going into their first round game. And he said Georgetown did have to play that extra game, and Georgetown was tested against that Providence team that you made reference to. So that's the opportunity that Pitt has. But the challenge is that, you know, you have to travel. You've got to find hotels. There's not a lot of physical reps that can be done. So Jay Vidovich said it has to be mental reps and video work for this team coming into this match.
Well, the mental reps are going to be tested in a major way right now as Pitt is on the proverbial ropes.
Yeah, and, you know, up until the Big East semifinal against Butler, Georgetown hadn't conceded 2 goals all year. Of course, Butler found a way to score 2 against this Hoyas team. But it is a stingy Hoyas defense.
And Kizatom, the kind of striker that has bothered Georgetown this year. Butler, one of those players like Brandon Gould, but Kiza just stranded right now.
Well, he's getting no service at all, and a big part of it is because how decisive Georgetown is with the ball and how sharp all the players are with their movement, their first touch. Georgetown's playing quickly and decisively.
Again, the Hoyas without Senior Achara, out with a lower body injury. And Kiza coming all the way back into his own defensive third.
Yeah, and that is such a welcome sight for defensive players when you have a goal scorer like Kiza 70 yards from goal coming back to receive the ball.
Sands, strong header against Sessick. Keeps it in play. And he and Sessick battle for it. Sessick helps him up.
Good sportsmanship there and a little hard foul, both of them extracurricular on the sideline.
It's one of those new rules, Tom, laws of the game that allow the referee make a judgment call to re-enter by returning possession to the team that clearly had it as opposed to a drop ball.
I'm right on the cusp with that. So.
First substitute of the match for Pitt, it's Josh Hessen, the freshman from England.
Yeah, another one of the international players. Hessen trained on the Wolverhampton club.
Good win for the Wolves yesterday in the Premiership.
But everyone's still chasing Mr. Klopp's side.
Good directional header by Zawadzki, frees Nealis. And the combination of Dexter and Washington win possession for Pitt. And then Dexter just shoves Zawadzki in the back.
And you talked about it 5 or 6 minutes ago. Certainly frustration from this Pitt Panther team. Yeah, it's just a two-handed shove. I will say, though, this Pitt Panther team found themselves down 3-1 in the first half against Duke and then found a way to score 3 goals in the second half to beat the Duke Blue Devils earlier this year, 4-3. But this is a different animal they're up against today.
I call it a bulldog.
You would.
Jack the Bulldog certainly will make an appearance here during this postseason run. Beer left-footed service looking for Sands. Sessick straight up in the air. And then Noel clears. Wu and Dexter in a hard challenge. Polvera slashes forward, looking for club teammate Sands, can't find him. Both players played for the NYCFC Academy and donning the cleats that match the hue of that NYCFC kit almost perfectly.
Yeah, no doubt. And think about the freshman Polvera. Georgetown down a goal in the Big East final. Achar and Dotson on the bench, and the freshman steps up to take a penalty kick, and he was as composed as you could ever want someone taking one from that 12-yard spot.
Jack Beer having a discussion with the Georgetown athletic trainer. NYCFC in the news this week with Claudio Reyna leaving the club to become the sporting director at the new Austin MLS franchise.
And it looks like Jack Beer will be allowed to re-enter.
Again, the winner today will play in the Sweet 16 against the winner of Louisville and University of California at Davis. Georgetown defeated UC Davis rival UC Irvine earlier in the year on the road.
And that was a game probably Georgetown wasn't as sharp as they were and figured out a way late to get a result.
Sesic on his right foot, diagonal ball. The pick going all the way backwards as Klein finds Ordonez. Pitt yet to penetrate the Georgetown defense at all. And Tom, you talked earlier about line-breaking balls that Georgetown's playing. Exactly 0 of those thus far, 30 minutes into this match from Pitt.
Yeah, opposing teams want to figure out a way to make Georgetown defend and face their own goal. It's really only one occasion that I can think of. Klein got a chance early, served one into the box that Wu handled, kind of popped the clearance up. But other than that, it's been absolutely nothing that has threatened this Georgetown defense.
Beer to Polvera. Good first touch. Now Montez finds Sands. Sands behind Sesic. Sands on his left foot. Peels away. Polvera wants it. Polvera gets it. But Harding and the Panthers able to gain possession.
We talked about that depth. Will Sands with great pace down that left side. Sands has really come on as the season has gone on. Dealt with an injury early on, but has found a nice role for him on the left side.
Sands assisted Derek Dotson, put the exclamation point on the Hoyas' Big East final win, the third goal in that 3-1 win, clinching the double for Georgetown.
Yeah, and their third straight tournament title.
And while the double is special, Tom, the treble is all that these Hoyas are thinking about.
No doubt, and you can't get that elusive national championship today. You've got to go through the process, and this Georgetown team has come out committed and with a great belief in themselves. And I also think as O'Hearn gets chopped down and Hessen finds himself into the referee's book, but it's one of those things that Georgetown respects this Pitt team playing in the ACC, understanding as we take another look. Ooh, and that is a boot to the knee, and Hessen is fortunate that that's only a yellow card as the studs clearly came up very high on O'Hearn's knee. But Georgetown recognizes that Pitt's the only team to have beaten UVA. They've played in the ACC. They've gotten good results. And so it's one of those games that Georgetown came out understanding they had to be on point from the beginning, and they have been as good as we've seen in the first half.
And while Georgetown only played one ACC team in the regular season, that was Syracuse, the Georgetown very used to playing ACC teams. In fact, they spent a lot of the spring playing ACC teams in preseason. They played Virginia Tech, and so it's a team that's familiar with that style of play.
Yeah, you talk about the spring. Actually, these two teams did meet in the spring as well, and it was a game I think Georgetown won probably 1-0. Not all the same pieces are out there, but Jay Vidovich felt that the way Georgetown play, I think he used the word to me, they kind of humbled Pitt that day. Not from the scoreline, but from how Georgetown play, and I think right now the scoreline is humbling for Pitt.
Yeah, the humility continues Ordonez outsteps Dotson, then another good directional header from Zawadzki springs Nealis. He'll have a go from distance, and he'll say the wind got a hold of that. Nealis' third goal of the season opened the scoring today. And more substitutions for the Hoyas, Tom, as senior Riley Strassner and junior Foster McCune enter. And when we talked in our keys to the game, the depth that'll be on display yet again here in the last 13 minutes.
And Strassner was so good for Brian Weiss in that Big East final.
Romero slow off his line, but then collects it with Dexter on the doorstep. Good feet there from McCune. And now Strassner as the two substitutes combine. McCune continues the run. And McCune will get whistled for a foul as he got laid into Washington. Washington scored a gorgeous goal against Lehigh on Thursday night to put the Panthers up 2-0. That was the eventual final score. It was his second goal of the season. Here's O'Hearn reading well. Now finds Beer, layoff Sands. O'Hearn continued the run. Now Polvera. He and Zawadzki have gone the entire first half in the center of the midfield. Zawadzki finds Strassner against Harding. Now McCune off a good overlap. Foster peels away. Back to Strassner. Nealis early ball looking for Sands. And Sesic.
And that was a teasing ball from Nealis there as Sands about a yard away from getting on the end of it. And Dan, it's not just the depth. We've seen Strassner and McCune 2 minutes in, they're combining, they're going at the Pitt Panthers. And as it has been the case all year, when Coach Weiss goes to the bench, the level is elevated.
Sesic long ball. Kiza absorbs it with his head. Now Walty, who hasn't seen much of the ball in that sixth position. Ordonez, good switch of the play to Harding. Again, Harding making his second start of the season and his second consecutive start at the left back position. Good story for Harding. Coming off a injury, was a Penn State commit, and then became a Pitt Panther. Speaking of Penn State, the Panthers, the Nittany Lions will host Providence in a game that, Tom, I think Providence is going to give the Nittany Lions all they can handle this afternoon.
Yeah, when we saw Providence earlier this year, we both commented about how good we thought Craig Stewart's team was. They are an experienced team that puts a lot of pressure on other teams. They've got goal scorers. They've got talent up and down the lineup.
Hope guns to Sands. Beer can't keep it in play. And the game is certainly slowed as referee Gonzalez issues a caution to Jack Beer, I believe.
Yeah, Jack kicking the ball away. Just, you talk about slowing the game down. Jack Beer trying to slow it down even more.
Klein founds Kiza. Good switch of the play to Dexter, who's isolated against Nealis. Dexter into his preferred right foot shot, harmlessly into the gloves of Tomas Romero.
Yeah, and you can see Klein really frustrated with the decision that Dexter made there as Klein was making a diagonal run into the box. It was the first time that Pitt was able to kind of get out the other side.
And here in the 36th minute, Brian Weiss is going to find senior J.B. Fisher. Fisher, who started 80% of the matches on the season, replaces Polvera, the normal player that he rotates in the middle of the park with.
And J.B. Fisher hits one of the cleanest balls on this Georgetown team. If he gets a chance from distance, watch out. Fisher with great technique.
Sean O'Hearn, who's been sharp and involved here this afternoon, finds Sands. O'Hearn retrieves to Fisher, his first touch. Sends Hope Gunn backwards. 8.5 remain. Georgetown opened the scoring with Nealis. Dotson then scored a highlight reel dagger, and then the own goal made it 3-0 off a great service from Rothrock. Decent crowd here this afternoon, Tom.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fall day, too. We talked about the wind, but temperature's great. Very few of the players having to go with the long sleeves.
If the result holds, Georgetown would host the match next Sunday at noon. Sands and Sessick, who've been battling the whole time. Sessick is going to go into referee Gonzalez's notebook.
And you're right. Sessick and Sands have been involved in a couple of these, and here Sessick just runs right through Sands. And you talked about a foolish foul on the end line. This is a dangerous spot for Georgetown, and it will be Jack Beer serving this one in.
Beer two-footed, Tom. Hits restarts with either foot. It'll be the right foot here. He'll try to put this ball in between the 6-yard and the penalty spot, likely. Near post ball, easily read, and miscommunication there, or mishit ball perhaps by Beer. And now it's Dexter on a dead sprint for Pitt.
Yeah, I mean, you heard me go.
Fisher dispossesses cleanly.
And a great recovery run from Fisher, winning that ball cleanly.
Then Strassner, good hold-up play. Looping ball for Fisher. Beer and Ordonez battle for it. And Amon clears.
Fans can be biased.
And that is great timing to get on the end of that for Fisher, as that was Dexter with some space running at the Georgetown defense, but a great recovery run out of the defensive midfield.
Dexter certainly the most active Panther in Georgetown's half of the pitch. It'll be a restart here on the far side of Shaw Field. Georgetown, yet another dangerous position to whip a ball in. And it'll be Beer again.
And the quality of the last service from Beer wasn't up to his standard. Look for a better ball driven in. We talked about that one that Rothrock hit. It was hit with pace, and it's so hard to deal with as that ball is whipped in. Fisher was wide open at the top of the box.
They'll play it to Strassner, and the rebound falls to Nealis, who hits it over. Poor marking by Pitt.
Yeah, and Strassner and Nealis both mishit that one as well. Like, Strassner tried to hit one first time. Oh, and he mishit it, and then Nealis leaning back. But you're right. Pitt Panthers just standing on their heels in Hammond's penalty box.
Hessen against O'Hearn, and he'll commit a foul. It's already in the book for a foul on O'Hearn.
And I think that's what Sean O'Hearn is saying.
Hessen and Sessick both already in the book. Both have committed multiple fouls already and will need to be very careful in the second half.
Yeah, frustration boiling over for this Pitt Panther team.
.41st minute of play. Nealis, Dotson, and an own goal in the 3-0 Georgetown advantage. And since that third goal midway through the half, it's just been a settle in, take a little bit of the air out of the play and protect what looks to be an insurmountable advantage.
Yeah, it's incredibly important for Georgetown to have a clean sheet going into halftime. You don't want to give Pitt any sense of confidence that they can come back in this match.
Big East has produced a couple great features here that will be shown at halftime on the Big East Digital Network. Stay with us. Here's Sessick overlapping, and Pitt will win its second corner.
And Sessick, like Nealis, likes to go forward and join the attack. Pitt hasn't had enough of the ball to allow him the time to come forward.
Well to take. Flashing header wide as Washington got to it first.
Yeah, and great size for Washington out of that center back position, and restarts are a way certainly that Pitt can figure out a way to get a goal here, and that was a aggressive attempt from the Pitt defender.
Washington a transfer from Rutgers. Sessick out jumps Sands, but the second ball won by the Hoyas. And a foul whistled there on J.B. Fisher. Walty quickly restarts play.
And on that restart, it's two bad balls, and I just looked down, and Jay Vidovich just had his hand in his face because it's all negative for Pitt. They're playing backwards, and it's exactly what he didn't want this group to do. He wanted them to force the tempo and go forward. It's fine to take a restart quick, but go forward with purpose. Don't play two balls backwards 35 yards.
The coaching legend will have to go deep into his arsenal of halftime speeches, Tom, because it's been all Georgetown in this first half, really from the opening kick. Washington wide to Harding. Early ball, and you look at Vidovich, that resume impressive.
No doubt about it, but as we talked about, this Georgetown team has an absolute belief. We made reference to that 07 national championship team and 4 straight College Cup appearances, but Vidovich's Panthers have a huge task in front of them.
Georgetown elects to send its defenders forward. Referee Sergio Gonzalez says they're wasting too much time. Under 90 seconds remain. And Beer to hit the restart. Clips the ball looking for Nealis' head. Amon off his line to easily grab. And Amon, I'm sure, ruining Georgetown's first goal, Tom, beating him near post from a narrow angle.
Yeah, and he was positioned well on that one, and that was deflating for this Panthers team. You know, in the first 5 minutes, Georgetown was on the front foot, was pressing the attack, but Amon certainly wanted to have stronger hands at that near post.
So Tomas Romero and the Hoyas with the clean sheet thus far. Romero yet to be beaten as a collegiate athlete. Early ball looking for Kiza. Romero punches away, and a save off the line by O'Hearn. And it's offsides whistled in the aftermath, and Kiza can't believe it.
But what good team defending from Sean O'Hearn. You talked about how sharp he was on the ball. Those are the types of plays that win championships. You're taught, and that was a foul on Kiza for a push, but you're taught as the goalie comes out to get to that goal line, and that's exactly what O'Hearn did.
As the final seconds tick off the Shawfield clock, the scoreboard tells the story. It's Georgetown on goals from Nealis, Dotson, and an own goal 3. It's the Pitt Panthers 0. We'll be back with features here on the Big East Digital Network.
What can great minds do?
While at Seton Hall, I interned with the Superior Court of New Jersey, and that inspired me to go to law school.
I am a physics and civil engineering major, and I want to work on infrastructure in underdeveloped countries.
I'm the news director at one of the top college radio stations in the country.
I'm working with my professor on research that could help athletes during sudden cardiac events.
I started my own business, Classic Soccer Cleats, and I just sold it to a company in England.
Come see for yourself what great minds can do.
Halftime here at Shaw Field. Georgetown leads 3-0. It's the 40th anniversary of the Big East Conference. Many of those years, Pitt actually was in the conference as these two former rivals collide. Diversity's been a theme from moment one, and the Big East featuring those milestones here this afternoon.
When my time came to stop coaching, I was very fortunate that I didn't have to go cold turkey. I was able to start the Big East Conference, and we came across the sky like a meteor.
One recruiting year that they had that really turned everything around was the Ewing Mullen Pitt recruiting year. It changed the face of Eastern basketball probably forever.
Cool, thank you.
We just believed in ourselves and a lot of hard work on everybody's part.
Every March, Madison Square Garden is home to everything that is college basketball.
How's the weather? Yeah. It's snowing out. It's a blizzard, but we ain't gonna stop.
There were questions early on about whether the Big East could withstand the test of reconfiguration, and I think if you were here, we've done that more.
It's a monster league now. Last man standing, bring the flag. Tough to coach in, but great for spectators and great to play in. The march of the Big East goes on.
One of the positives about the sports business in the last couple of years, and in recent years in particular, has been the growing interest in seeing our industry become a more diverse and inclusive place.
I find it important for us to amplify the voices of those who have not traditionally had a seat at the table. As a Black African woman, my various social identities are always at the forefront of my daily interactions, from my first name, my culture, to where I'm from. So for me, diversity is about us celebrating our uniqueness as a society.
A lot of what happens in terms of diversifying workforce in the college world happens at the campus level. That's really where the core hiring takes place. The The schools are responsible for hiring their directors of athletics, their staffs, their coaches. And so the conference is really a step away from that activity, but I think conferences can and should set a tone. And so in the Big East, we have tried to make diversity and inclusion a conference strategic priority. We have, for example, within our conference SAC group, designated a diversity and inclusion officer. D&I has become an important topic of discussion at SAC meetings. And our D&I officer is now included into the conference-wide diversity and inclusion working group that we've created.
I currently serve as the conference's Student Athlete Advisory Committee's Diversity and Inclusion Officer. This position is charged with ensuring that the conference carries out its commitment to inclusion for all. And I assist the conference staff in creating opportunities for student athletes from different backgrounds to come together to share and exchange ideas. I also work closely with the Big East Diversity and Inclusion Working Group.
You know, when I think about diversity, I think about the fact that diversity is a fact. When we think about inclusion, we think about inclusion being a choice. And I think if we can succeed in anything at the Big East is to impress upon everyone how inclusion isn't just a choice but a responsibility.
The Big East is committed to continuing the development of programs and initiatives that support diverse and inclusive environments for our student athletes, coaches, staff, and communities.
You have 4 years to help you figure out the meaning of life. Do you realize what a great gift this is?
I think of college as a moment of pilgrimage.
You'll go places you never thought you'd go. You'll meet people you never thought you'd meet. And you will experience things that are so rich that you can hold on to them forever.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
At St. John's University, our students believe, serve, explore, and achieve. A Catholic, Vincentian, metropolitan, and global university, we are at the heart of where lives are enriched. We provide a transformative education that goes far beyond the classroom. We aspire to do more. And for nearly 150 years, the St. John's story has been the story of New York City. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Georgetown leads Pitt 3-0. Dan Helfrich and Tom Greaser bringing you the action on the Big East Digital Network. And Tom, it was an onslaught of Georgetown in the attack from moment one.
Yeah, the Hoyas on the front foot early, and it was their senior, Dylan Nealis, got on the end of a Dotson pass, and it's one clearly that the Pitt Panthers would want to have back. Then it was the junior sensational forward with a brilliant goal, Derek Dotson, spinning away from 2 Pitt defenders and then burying it into the top right corner.
And just when Pitt thought they'd calm things down, a poor foul, a good clearance, and an unfortunate bounce.
Yeah, as Rothrock just hit one in with pace inside the 6-yard box, and that leads to the 3-0 advantage for Georgetown.
And the stats show Georgetown's domination. If the possession percentage was on this graphic, it'd probably say about 75-25. And once Georgetown found that third goal, Tom, the game kind of settled in.
It did, and for the Pitt Panthers, a team that has scored a lot of goals with a great goal scorer up top, just not enough service, only generating 2 shots in the half for Pitt.
So we'll take a quick break and then be back in a few moments when we'll start the second half. It's the campus of Georgetown University, and it's the homestanding Georgetown Hoyas leading the Pitt Panthers 3-0.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't. Driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
to know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
And you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here we do.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
What can great minds do?
While at Seton Hall, I interned with the Superior Court of New Jersey, and that inspired me to go to law school.
I am a physics and civil engineering major, and I want to work on infrastructure in underdeveloped countries.
I'm the news director at one of the top college radio stations in the country.
I'm working with my professor on research that could help athletes during sudden cardiac events.
I started my own business, Classic Soccer Cleats, and I just sold it to a company in England.
Come see for yourself what great minds can do.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go. Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Dan Helfrich back alongside Tom Greaser. Halftime, Georgetown leads 3-0, Tom. And the goals were aplenty in the first half. First, Nealis. then Dodson, and then an own goal off the brilliant Rothrock cross. But the scoreboard tells the story, the favored Hoyas against the youthful Panthers.
Yeah, and Georgetown did exactly what a top seed is supposed to do. From the opening whistle, they were on the front foot, and they took away any belief that this Pitt Panthers team had coming into this match and just applied wave after wave of pressure.
Georgetown, we talked about their depth. Brian Weiss going to the bench 6 times in the first half. Jay Vidovich, only 2, and Matt Bailey played just about a minute and a half, so we'll see if Vidovich has any tricks up his sleeve here in the second half, but certainly if Pitt's going to have any chance to get back in this game, an early goal in the second half is essential.
Yeah, and it was Bailey, who's another one of those transfers, who actually created that commotion at the end of the half with good feet. A local product in the Maryland area, but it's that man that needs service for Pitt. Kiza just not seeing enough of the ball for the Pitt Panthers.
And Brian Weiss is going to go back to his starting 11, which is a rarity for Coach Weiss. Normally mixes it up at the start of the second half, but I think said, let's try to recycle the same way we started the match.
Yeah, and a lot of it for Coach Weiss is a feel of how the game is going. This group started out on the front foot, just attacking from the opening whistle, and that's what Weiss wants at the start of the second half as well.
Here's Dexter for Pitt. Dispossessed by Zawadzki, who's then fouled.
And Sean Zawadzki covers so much ground. You talked about in the first half, Dexter for you with his pace kind of being a bright spot for this Panthers team, but Zawadzki recovers hard, not only wins the ball, but earns the foul on the restart.
O'Hearn, a great ball to Nealis, who'll lay off for Riviere. Zawadzki and Klein battle. Braden Klein wins it, but O'Hearn easily reads. Here's Montez into the path of Rothrock. Paul Rothrock to the end line. He turns the corner and then clips a ball all the way to Nealis. Cleared by Dexter. Rothrock did well there to turn the corner, but the ball can't connect.
Yeah, but just as they did in the first half, Georgetown in the first couple of minutes gets all the way to the end line against the Panthers.
O'Hearn, the diagonal to Nealis, isolated against Harding. Early ball in the outstretched left foot of Washington, able to prevent that ball. Meanwhile, diagonal, Dotson on a turn, slips Montez through, and Washington reads as Montez was nearly in alone. And Tom, as you said, the Hoyas buzzing again.
Yeah, this group has just been on great form and a good deep run by Montez, and Dotson tried to free him.
And for the third time in the half, O'Hearn finds Nealis. Left back to right back. Early ball cut out by Washington. Zawadzki keeps it in play. Georgetown all over the Panthers. Polvera wide to Rothrock. Early ball again can't connect. But Georgetown appearing like they're on a power play.
And you talk about that left back to right back, makes me think of the best team in the world, Liverpool, and how they play. Their outside backs hit those diagonal balls, and it's O'Hearn and Nealis for the Hoyas. It's Robertson and Alexander Arnold for Liverpool.
There's little that doesn't make you think of Liverpool, so it's good to know we can find another.
You'll never walk alone.
Speaking of Liverpool, notable Liverpool fan Dave Nolan here, the Georgetown women's soccer coach, enjoying this match. Nolan, another terrific season that ended prematurely for the Hoya women at home against West Virginia.
Yeah, and the bracket really opened up on that side.
Here's Walty, a missed touch allowing Polvera to find Montez. And then Washington earns possession. Sessick and Rothrock battle. And another turnover. It's O'Hearn. Rothrock by Petkovic. And again, The third Rothrock cross that's gone past the near post runner and hasn't connected someone near the back.
Well, there's actually no runner at the back there. It was Dotson in alone. And neither Riviere nor any of the center midfielders could get on the end of it.
Polvera outdistanced there by Noel. And the wind actually favoring the Hoyas in this half. Ordonez heads back to Amon. And the first 4 minutes of the second half show no signs of Pitt finding their way back into this match.
Yeah, and for Georgetown, it's so important to come out of the half and take it to Pitt. You don't want to sit back and allow Pitt to find any rhythm.
Elsewhere in the NCAA tournament right now, Indiana at home against rival Kentucky up 2-0. A Hoosier team that Coach Yeagley likes a lot this year. Winners of the Big Ten.
And you think about that Indiana team, how good they are. This Pitt team took them to overtime. Pitt eventually falls 3-2, and today the class of the Hoyas is shining through.
Winner today will meet the winner of Louisville, another ACC side who defeated the Hoyas earlier in the year, or the University of California at Davis.
And that Louisville team has actually beaten Georgetown in consecutive years. They won one of those games that moved to Cooper Field last year, and then at home they defeated the Hoyas this year. Of course, that game was the game that Georgetown was without the services of their defensive midfielder, Sean Zawatsky.
In that game, the only defeat the Hoyas have faced all season long. As Harding plays the ball out of play. A throw in there in front of Coach Brian Weiss. And Dylan Nealis, about as bad of a throw as you could ever see.
Nealis saying it never went in.
As we remind ourselves of the U10 kind of soccer that you and I occasionally watch. As Washington and Dotson battle for it. '51st minute.
Dotson does so well here to keep this one in, and really a whole chunk of his shirt is grabbed.
Nealis, great ball to Montez, has space. Montez against Ordonez. Montez going left, now he's going right. And it's saved by Amon. The final touch there got out in front of Montez as he had Ordonez line up right where he wanted.
Yeah, and we've seen Montez put defenders on skates this year. That one, Montez just tried to cut back to his preferred right foot.
Zawatsky into the path of O'Hearn. Now Rothrock, who's been active today against Sessick. He'll nutmeg him and win a corner.
Yeah, Rothrock, the Notre Dame transfer. And here is a look of Montez. They're a cutback, but just a heavy touch right there. But he absolutely had Ordonez going the wrong way.
And Tom, we highlighted Montez as the player to watch. It's exactly what you described. And team scouting Georgetown for the remainder of the tournament, you know, I think it's Nealis and then Montez in the middle that you got a game plan for.
Yeah, and that one was one-on-one. We've seen Montez go 1-on-3, 1-on-4 at times this year.
Rothrock to hit the corner. Dangerous spot, headed just over.
What a brilliant ball whipped in by Rothrock as Hope Gunn from about 6 yards out couldn't get up high enough to head that one down. Actually, good defending by Pitt. It was the freshman Noel just got into Hope Gunn's body enough, didn't allow Hope Gunn to rise up and have a clean win at that. You don't have to win the ball as a defender, but just a little bit of a body is enough.
It's a bright match from Rothrock so far, Tom.
Yeah, you know, you said it doesn't get credit for the assist on the third goal, but it was such a dangerous ball, and that corner was just whipped in, and we've seen him in the second half have success going at Sessick. Rothrock on point today.
The bouncy curls of Paul Rothrock played in the Seattle Sounders Academy system. And as you said, transferred from Notre Dame. A lot of Notre Dame influence on this Georgetown team, including, of course, Brian Weiss and assistant Connor Klakota, who played at Notre Dame.
Yeah, great Notre Dame influence, and certainly Coach Weiss learned from one of the best, Bobby Clark.
And lurking in the same draw as Georgetown, the 6th seed, Jamie Clark, Bobby's son, and a dangerous Washington Huskies side.
Yeah, that would pose some family problems for the Clark family. They have such high affinity towards Brian Weiss.
Weiss has shuffled the staff in recent years. Longtime assistant Zach Samuel, earning the head coaching job at American University. Longtime assistant Brian Gill, the head coaching job at the University of Pennsylvania, who enjoyed a terrific season in the Ivy League, finishing in 2nd place as the Weiss tree expands.
That's right. You think about these coaches and their coaching tree, and Brian Weiss, the style that he has brought to Georgetown, and it's just an attractive brand that attracts the best players in the country that want to come and play here.
Montez a couple feints off his right side. Now Pulvera. Pulvera, early ball, Washington cuts out. It's in between Riviere and Dotson. Pulvera's going to out-jump Washington. Harding, poor clearance.
And Dan, this is such a mature start to the second half from this Georgetown side.
Nealis gets behind Harding. Now he'll get beside Harding and say that Harding won the throw. There's a good look at the redshirt freshman. But there's the 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year wearing number 12. And perhaps starting a right-back tradition of the number 12 is Keegan Rosenberry wearing the same number. Rosenberry, an outstanding season for Colorado. For 2 of the last 3 years, Rosenberry has played every minute of the MLS season.
It's just hard to do. It's hard to think about, actually. Even harder to do.
Hope Gunn pinging a ball, and now Rothrock and Sessick battle for it.
And that's good defending from Sessick, but there's a perfect example of how hard it is to defend this Georgetown team. They stretch the field so much, and they make you play from sideline to sideline, and you know most teams want to have very compact shape defensively, and Georgetown just does everything they can to take you out of that shape.
And if you want to play at Georgetown University, Tom, in the Weiss area, and you want to play in the back, range of pass is such an important attribute.
Yeah, the ability to hit driven balls, breaking down lines, but also, you know, enough when you're going over the top that the ball can kind of spin a little bit and hold up. And there's Riviere. We saw in the UCLA game when he scored a hat trick, a couple of balls played over the top that he's able to run onto, and it sits up where before the goalkeeper can come out and get it.
Montez, great touch. Ordonia is able to clear. But Pitt has yet to find the Georgetown half of the field 12 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, and we were talking at the end of the first half, you know, can Pitt find one goal to get some sort of hope going at all? And they just have not been able to find the ball. Their midfield has been invisible for large stretches of this match. And it's a young center midfield, but talented players in there for Pitt. So those 2 freshmen, all freshman ACC performers.
Kiza again coming way back, just starved for service time.
Yeah, and he's a player that lives on service. We talked about it, these dangerous runs he makes, but getting none of it as Dotson called off sides. Derek didn't think so.
And Tom, a name we don't call very often, but it's been one of the stories of the season for Georgetown's freshman Daniel Wu. Less heralded as a recruit than many of his classmates. Not expected, certainly going into preseason on the depth chart, to earn the starting spot, but other than one match, has gone the distance as Georgetown's starting central defender.
Yeah, and he earned that spot because you're right. At coming into camp, Coach Weiss didn't have him penciled in, but the quality of his play, and it's nice. You don't want to talk about your center back a lot, right? And he's good on the ball. He's simple. He keeps possession. And right from game one against Syracuse, Daniel Wu fit right into this group.
Hope gun to Montez. Now Ordonez back in as Pitt finally in the Georgetown end. '59th minute, Shaw Field. Goals from Nealis, from Derek Dotson, and an own goal amounting to the 3-0 Georgetown advantage. Time you see the banner there recognizing Georgetown's women for 2 College Cup Final Four appearances. The men have earned 1, and we did get a glimpse of Jack the Bulldog, as I predicted. Jack does make an appearance here. He loves the crisp fall weather, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. He loves getting shout-outs from you on the Big East Digital Network. Postseason play.
Maximum number of appearances after today, 2 for Jack here on campus, as Georgetown would host as long as they continue winning.
Yeah, it's one of the great benefits of having a great regular season. You're rewarded with home games. Certainly the Big East changed that years ago for their tournament, and that's really helped the Hoyas in the tournament in the Big East. And then for the NCAA tournament, Georgetown, of course, the overall number 3 seed. So as long as they win up until the College Cup, games will be here at Shaw Field.
Braden Klein there, attended by the Pitt Panthers, and unless something bordering on miraculous happens, it'll be the end of the career for Braden Klein. And that's one of the things, Tom, you always talk about in the NCAA tournament. You're witnessing the ends of the soccer careers of so many seniors as these games ensue.
Yeah, and during the course of the match, it's not something that you think about, but certainly for Klein, you had some success at Providence, went deep into an NCAA tournament. You know, as the clock ticks down, that starts to hit home, and the realization of your college career coming to an end.
But regardless of how this game ends for Pitt, it will be a team, the 2019 team, that is celebrated for years and decades to come at Pitt as they announce the arrival of Pitt back onto the national college scene.
Yeah, and Jay Vidovich talked about it. There's still steps in this project, right? You can't get there overnight. But certainly they have become a relevant program, dangerous in the ACC, as that is a great ball from Nealis. Pitt has become dangerous in the ACC, and then they win their first ever NCAA tournament match.
Pitt's beaten Virginia twice in a row. They beat them this year on the road, the only blemish on Virginia's record, and then beat them in the ACC tournament a year ago.
Sometimes there are just matchups that teams feel good against.
Here's Polvera. Hoyas with a chance to break out. Polvera did not control that well. And Dotson wanted that ball to Polvera's right.
Yeah, Dotson was making a hard run. Polvera never saw him, though.
And Tom, a matchup that lots of college soccer observers have been hoping to see was a Georgetown-Virginia matchup. They've been in the top 5 most of the seasons, but that's only going to happen if it's playing for a national championship, given the way the brackets came out.
Yeah, and you think about some of the matchups that the Hoyas and Cavaliers have had. Of course, in the Elite Eight a few years back, Cavaliers in penalty kicks knock off Georgetown.
Here's Dexter. Good ball, can't connect though with Bailey. And It'll be a Georgetown throw. 28 minutes and change remaining. Georgetown continues to lead 3-0.
And you talked about Georgetown playing without a Char. They're also without redshirt senior Ethan Lochner today. He's unable to go. Both Achar and Lochner not part of that depth for Coach Weiss today.
Ordonez under some pressure. Now Walty. Dexter in front of the fourth official. It's a clean touch for Pekovic. But again, Zawadzki intercedes. Here's Dexter, early ball. Romero catches.
That's really the only time we've seen Petkovic in the attacking third with the ball all game today. And the talented freshman just has not been able to find the ball.
Beer to Dotson. Now Beer again. Dotson cuts to his left. Further to his left. Beer. Now it's Will Sands. Sands from a near post, just wide.
And Will Sands, we've talked about his pace going left. He has a quick burst as well. It's not just speed, it's a quick first step and a good shot trying to roof one there at the near post.
For the second time today, Coach Weiss likes the Strassner-McCune combination, as they will give Dotson and Montez a breather. Dotson's been the star here today. An assist on goal number 1 and a Sports Center top 10 highlight-worthy goal number 2.
Yeah, Dotson with his 9th goal of the year to go along with 7 assists.
And I have noticed more college soccer highlights getting into those kinds of highlight shows, so who knows, we may see that Dotson goal on the national airwaves. Harding clearance in the middle of the pitch. Walty finds Kiza. But Georgetown's recovery so strong now. 9 behind the ball. And Tom, I think the issue is Kiza's not a guy that's going to run 50 yards with the ball. If he's dangerous, he's got to get service within 25 yards of goal, and that's just not happening.
Yeah, Pitt just hasn't kept enough possession to utilize his strengths. He does has great size, so he can hold up and allow Pitt to join the attack. But what he really wants is these diagonal runs off the back shoulders of the Georgetown defense, and he has great timing and understanding of how to get on the end of it.
Strassner chases down Ordonez. I'm going to poor clearance into the wind, but Noel collects. Good passing triangles from the Hoyas. It's Sands. Sands is in. Sands shoots off the post. It was a blistering drive, and then Walty clears.
And it is just brilliant soccer from the Hoyas.
Now Nealis sees Amon off his line, and it's a goal! It's the 4th of the season in spectacular fashion from Dylan Nealis. Georgetown 4, Pitt 0.
And Dylan Nealis picks his head up, sees Amon cheating, but what a run by Sands, banging one off the near post. And as this ball recycles out, as Georgetown was complaining for a penalty kick, Nealis has the skill to loop one over Amon, who can't keep that one out. And Georgetown senior defensive stalwart Dylan Nealis with 2 goals today.
And Tom, Nealis was on the Hermann Trophy watch list mid-season. It's hard to win that award as a defender, though we've seen 2 of the last 5 years it has been won by a defender. There are not many more high-impact players in college soccer than Dylan Nealis.
Yeah, he covers end line to end line. He's athletic enough to deal with dynamic attacking players one-on-one. He wins his battles. And then when he runs at you with the ball, he puts defenders on skates.
Georgetown has never had a finalist for the Herman Trophy. Like the Heisman Trophy, three finalists attend the ceremony in Missouri. Little birdie's whispering to me that maybe Brandon Allen was a finalist.
Brandon Allen, of course, Georgetown's all-time goal-scoring leader. I think he was one of the 3 finalists.
I think that birdie in my ear was Brandon screaming at me from New Jersey. Georgetown women had Caitlin Farrell as a finalist a year ago. And McCune whistled for a handball. It was interesting. Referee Sergio Gonzalez was shielded from it, but used the reaction of the Pitt Panthers to say, and perhaps the 4-0 scoreboard to say,
that ball definitely climbed up on McCune's arm, and an opportunity for Pitt to get something out of this match right here is, yeah, Foster's hand just outstretched from his body. It's the 2 freshman center midfielders on this one. Talked about them combining for 9 goals this year. You can see the wind there is, might need to get someone to hold that ball.
It's Noel, and it's over. Well-designed play between Noel and Petkovic.
Yeah, they're just trying to free up a little bit of a better angle. So Noel tried to bend that one into the top right corner.
So the Hoyas well on their way to the Sweet 16 for consecutive years. And Tom, last year, Georgetown, who had a team that Brian Weiss liked the chances of making a deep run, lost at home to an excellent Michigan State team 1-0.
Yeah, and Michigan State got all the way to the College Cup last year, and we talked about it in the first half. That game, because of rain and weather, had to be moved to the artificial surface at Georgetown Cooper Field, and the field isn't as wide and doesn't allow Georgetown to play to their strengths as much.
And was one of the straws that broke the camel's back on Georgetown, investing the resources to resurface this field, new drainage underneath this field, Shaw Field, and as we said, Tom, a lot of rain in the D.C. area over the last 24 hours. The field has held up extraordinarily well.
Yeah, we saw more players slipping late in the Big East regular season and in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. We haven't seen really anyone lose their footing on the surface today.
And that man, Ari Amin, Tom, who's had such a good season, will not want to see the highlights of this match.
Yeah, of course, that first goal he'll certainly want back from Nealis, and then the fourth one just caught in no man's land and lunges to try to keep it out, but can't keep that fourth one out of the goal. Damn, one of the amazing statistics today, we've talked about Georgetown defensively being so stingy. Pitt has outshot their opponents by a wide margin this year, and today only 4 shots for the Pitt Panthers. Coming into this match, Pitt almost 300 shots for the season, giving up only 190, but that script completely flipped today.
Here's substitute Alex Peperak on the left side. Now Strassner intercepts. Strassner has space, but Pitt in good defensive position. Strassner goes inside looking for Beer, and it's cut out by Ordonez. Sliding challenge from McCune's a good one. Little friendly fire there, and then a foul as Peperak fouls Beer. You see McCune and Strassner run into each other. Those two have been paired a lot today. Saw them in the foreground of our picture there, and then Peperak fouls Beer.
And before every match, it's McCune and Strassner who are always doing something together on wide throw-ins, trying to create little angles and understanding. And so you talked about Weiss likes that pairing. They understand that they're going to get opportunities to play with each other. They're always working on creative ways to get to the end line.
And their plus-minus ratio as a duo good today as Beer hits one back post headed wide. Nealis will retrieve. Nealis never one to mind physical contact. Dipsy-doos by multiple Pitt defenders. And then it's cleared. Nealis has accomplished a lot in his Georgetown career. A hat trick he's never had as Zawadzki finds Strassner. Good turn to his left foot. And then looping ball wide of Amon.
But that is all Sean Zawadzki right there. Stepping into the play, keeps Pitt on their heels, and then frees Strassner, who turns. And, of course, Strassner on his left foot in the Big East final had one. I think he was thinking about that one as that turn and shot attempt.
Strassner, a senior out of Avon, Connecticut.
Some great players in Georgetown program history have come from Avon, Connecticut. Strassner probably the best, though.
Dave Farrell, Rick Dorella, and the coaching staff up in
Oakwood
in Glastonbury, Connecticut, producing Hoyas through the years.
You don't consider Avon your hometown, though, do you?
I do not. I'm a man of the world. Here's Strassner. Difficult ball versus Zawadzki, who deals with it well. Now loose ball is going to find Nealis. 2 goals already for the senior. And he'll send Will Sands to the corner flag. Sands on a part of Shaw Field he's very unfamiliar with. The right side of the attack. Washington clears. And again, Key's a good hold-up play, but it's 90 yards from goal.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be there. Jay Vidovich doesn't want him to be there, but Coach Weiss loves seeing him receive the ball 20 yards on his defensive side of the half.
Keys will be back for his senior year with a chance to become the all-time leading scorer in Pitt history.
Oh, and I would certainly think not only will he get there, he will distance himself.
And Pitt's all-time leading scorer, former coach, Joe Luxbacher.
And it's Kiza breathing down his neck, though.
Felt like the Wizard of Oz just showed up here at Shaw Field with the gusts of wind.
Not sure how sturdy this press box is.
The last time a postseason wind gust like that happened, it knocked Georgetown out of the NCAA tournament. As you can see, the wind howling right now. Tom, do you remember that gust?
I do not.
In overtime against SMU, JT Marcinkowski unable to deal with a looping service, and SMU, who trailed 1-0, just minutes left in the match, took the Hoyas out 2-1.
Yeah, and you are fond of one of Georgetown's all-time great goalkeepers, JT Marcinkowski, but I don't think he appreciates that memory being broadcast to the country right now.
JT enjoying an outstanding start to his professional career, and notably with consecutive call-ups to the U23 men's team, will be attempting to qualify for the Olympics for the first time in 3 Olympic Games.
Yeah, and that is so important for U.S. men's soccer to get a group that does qualify for the Olympics. You've seen all the disappointment that our national team has had. Got to get players playing in those tournaments.
McCune an early ball, Amon off his line. McCune received that from fellow Bethesda player Aiden Rocha. Rocha, the freshman, who's been used sparingly throughout the year, but this is 2 consecutive matches he's found the center of the park in the second half.
Yeah, you think about the depth, and it's also the trust that Coach Weiss has Rocha's number gets called in the Big East Final, and then here he is getting minutes in the NCAA tournament.
And the scoreline allowing the Georgetown staff to nurse Fisher back to health. We saw Fisher for 12 strong minutes in the first half, but no need to test against some nagging injuries in a match like this. Here's Sesic now retrieving in time. Let's start to set the stage for next weekend. Hoyas will have Turkey in the Washington, D.C. area. We'll play either Louisville or UC Davis. UC Davis, a team Georgetown not familiar with. As you said, Tom, Louisville, a team Georgetown familiar with and familiar with losing to.
Yeah, and, you know, it's at home and on the road. Georgetown's had some difficulty. Louisville, a great side, another member of the ACC that has made this tournament, but they have a big task ahead of them tonight. That UC Davis team is a good side, and Louisville will be challenged to get a result there.
Louisville blitzing South Florida in the first round, winning at home. As a good turn from Strassner. And then Strassner fouled by Washington. And Tom, Riley Strassner, who had some great moments last year, a few moments this year, suddenly late in his senior year as he sees the end of his career lurking, has found another gear.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that Big East Final, and here you can just see the touch and the turn, the strength, the hold-up play, those pieces. That's why Coach Weiss has so much confidence bringing him in, giving Dotson rest. Achara gets rest, and then those guys come back in, and they're fresh. They can run at defenders.
Beer, dangerous ball looking for Wu's head. Ball falls to Strassner, the bicycle, and it's saved. And Riley Strassner broke out the Schwinn, but Amon prevented the Sports Center moment.
You talked about moments. That would have been the moment of his career.
I think it still was. Referee gonna send Mr. Noel into the pocketbook, but Strassner in really the perfect bicycle opportunity there.
Gets on the second ball here, and decent effort.
Oh, I'll give that a 7.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7 out of 10.
Here's Beer. Another restart, another good ball, headed away by Washington. Then a drive by Rocha. And
into the Levy Center Hotel.
Yeah. Sorry to the patrons in room 208 there. As Rocha finding the facade of the Levy Hotel nearby. And Tom, we take a look at Chris Lay entering the match. Good moment for the junior from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and Lay, another versatile player. We've seen him at left back. When Georgetown's back line was dealing with some injuries, Coach Weiss would put him at left back. Here's getting a spell at the left midfield position.
I'm going to restart, and Tom, the shots read 16-4. You talked about Pitt and their prolific shots. Georgetown actually a few more shots on the season than Pitt. And the mentality of this Georgetown side, a little bit different than in past years in how committed they've been in the attack.
Yeah, one of the frustrations over some of the last few years has been Georgetown would keep possession, but there's no purpose. Georgetown will be more direct, going at goal at speed, and they will test your goalkeeper from minute 1.
And it was minute 5 today where they tested Amon and beat him near post. And since then, it has been all Georgetown. 80th minute, 4-0 the score, 2 goals from Nealis. Those provide the bread of the sandwich with a Dotson and an own goal in between. And again, Tom, hard to say enough about the job Jay Vidovich has done bringing this Pitt program back to national prominence, hosting an NCAA tournament game, winning an NCAA tournament game against Lehigh, and certainly bricks laid for the foundation for the future.
Yeah, it's going to be a very frustrating way for them to end their season, but when they look back, they will recognize the fact that they had progress this year and great steps forward, and as you talk about, building blocks to continue building on. And Jay Vidovich said some of the players that he's getting to come here, they're not coming here to just play in the ACC. They're coming there to try to win games and win championships in the ACC.
Montez, Dotson, now Montez, back to Dotson. Oh, and the flick looking for Lay. As I have a feeling number 7 in gray, Mr. Montez wants in on the scoring action. Here's McCune. Good. Oh, he's offside. Couldn't hold the run. Tom Greaser's pet peeve.
The entire field in front of you. Be patient.
Amon token pressure from Dotson. Just 9 minutes remain as Hope Gunn picks up a loose ball. He'll decide to continue the run. Hope Gunn to the end line. And I think he's going to get cautioned for simulation here. Indeed. And I think a good call there by referee Gonzalez.
Hope Gunn in uncharted waters here, cutting into the box. And just went down so easily. It's interesting, though. Late in this match, the center back of Hope Gunn, I wonder, will Coach Weiss substitute him out right now? You do not want him getting stuck in on just a hard challenge and picking up a second yellow card, right? It'll be an important couple of minutes for Hope Gunn to keep his feet.
I'm going to answer that question definitively yes.
Well, you have the benefit of looking down and seeing Coach Weiss summon a substitute.
Washington, poor ball. Cut out by Rocha. Now Dotson looking for McCune. Rocha's still with it. Rocha shot. Save. McCune rebound. Goal! It's the junior Foster McCune, and the Hoyas have number 5.
What a performance from start to finish, this Georgetown side. And Foster McCune rewarded with hard work. And what a tackle by Aiden Rocha. And then Foster McCune able to knock in the rebound. Those two Bethesda Academy products.
And Tom Amon frustrated with his defense. McCune's second of the season. On replay, may have been offsides on the shot. But all it does is add to the scoreline, and Amon, for the first time this year, sees 5 behind him.
Yeah, and it has been a long day for Ari Amon and this Pitt Panthers side.
And Tom, we're going to see Joe DeLuz entering, and we're also going to see the transfer from New Hampshire, Siggy Gearson. Siggy's former program, still alive in the NCAA tournament.
And, of course, it is Hope Gunn, who Coach Weiss couldn't get off the field quick enough after he picked up that yellow card for simulation.
Entering the match for the Hoyas, number 25, Siggy Gearson, replacing number 2.
Dan, I think when teams around the country look at this scoreline and they realize what this Pitt Panthers team has done during the regular season, as you've talked about, beating UVA, playing Indiana to a 2-2 regulation draw only to lose in double overtime. Georgetown certainly with an impressive performance here in the second round.
And Tom, you had a few different scenarios in mind of how this game might go. I'm not sure this was among them.
I never would have thought Coach Weiss and the Hoyas would have found a way to be up 5 goals against a very good Pitt Panthers team.
So the Hoyas are going to advance. They'll play either UC Davis or the Louisville Cardinals. And I'm sure the coaching staff, like me, will have the laptop out later in the day, about 9 screens going. while you are relaxing somewhere on a couch.
It's a big Sunday night matchup tonight in the NFL. America's team is involved.
And it's a great time to thank the guys in the truck, the guys on the camera here on the Big East Digital Network have done it so well all year. Of course, Tommy and the Baltimore Ravens fan down on the northeast side of Shaw Field.
He's certainly rooting for America's team tonight, hoping to somehow get home field advantage in the AFC.
And if Tommy had a vote, he would choose Lamar Jackson, a noted Louisville graduate, as the most valuable player of the league.
I don't think Tommy is the only one that would be casting that vote right now.
As we go deep into the material here with 6 minutes remaining in a 5-0 signature performance for the Hoyas. And as you said, Tom, the performance will create echoes and waves throughout the men's college soccer community.
Yeah, it is just from moment one, Coach Weiss had his team ready to go as we take a look at Zawadzki and Montez. A dangerous challenge and foul right there. But from moment one, the Hoyas were on the front foot. They never allowed this young Pitt team to have a sense of belief today.
The goal scorers, Tom. McCune with 1, Dotson with 1, OG with 1, and Nealis with 2.
OG, one of my favorite goal scorers of all time.
There's Montez. He has Dotson to his right. He's going to find him. He's onside. Little swim move by Derek.
And that is an absolute penalty kick right there, and you're right. What a swim move by Derek Dotson.
And so Georgetown, the strength of Dotson, and Pepperack just fouls him from behind, and it will be Dotson slowly walking to the penalty spot, trying to add insult to injury for the Pitt Panthers. Dotson, a first-team All-Big East Conference performer. Dotson steps, he shoots. Saved by Amon, rebound, and a brilliant save by Amon.
What a save by Amon. On the rebound, 2 brilliant saves for the Pitt Panther goalkeeper, and you have to feel good for him after the onslaught he has faced.
And it's a great save on the first one and an otherworldly save.
And a better one. It was Rocha coming in on the rebound. What recovery. And Derek Dotson with a huge smile coming off, getting congratulations from Coach Weiss. And that's the first penalty kick that the Hoyas have missed during the run of play this year. Ari Amon, 2 brilliant back-to-back saves.
And Tom, I was looking on the field. I hadn't realized that Nealis had exited. I thought had Nealis been on the pitch, you might have seen the senior go for the hat trick.
Absolutely. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Corner to be taken by Rothrock. Headed down and then cleared.
Also in the match for the Hoyas, number 3, Paul Rothrock, replacing number 7, Jacob Montez.
Roach, a dangerous ball. O'Hearn smartly plays it out for a goal kick. And Brian Weiss able to play every single player dressed on this afternoon.
Yeah, even with the depth he has, I don't think you talked about me envisioning this scoreline. I don't think Coach Weiss envisioned every field player being able to get action today.
So next Sunday at 12 Eastern time, a week from today, it will be Georgetown versus either UC Davis or Louisville, and it'll be here on the Big East Digital Network. I'll be back here, Tom.
Oh, if invited, I'll be here, but you never know.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that, make a decision early in the week. Rothrock picks up a loose ball. Now Chris Lay.
You talk about, Georgetown's two potential opponents. This is another one of those UC programs that found themselves conceding 5 goals to Georgetown this year. It's the second time the Hoyas have scored 5 in a contest, and of course that game it was the hat trick from Zach Riviere. That was the highlight of the game.
There's Georgetown's 5th goal scorer, McCune. And Ari Aman, in a game truly forgettable, came up with an unforgettable moment with 2 spectacular saves, one on the penalty of Dotson and the other as Daniel Wu takes a very difficult foul. And he fell hard there with just 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and Dexter just got underneath him as Wu went to win this ball, and Wu lands hard on the left side, but looks to be no worse for the wear, and that would be the one thing in the couple minutes to go that would be concerning for Coach Weiss, is someone getting an injury late in this match.
Just 80 seconds remain. The Pitt Panthers, important season, the first NCAA win in program history, is going to come to an end at Shaw Field.
And it brings me back 20 some odd years ago. You and I were part of a team that got its first program win in the NCAA tournament and had a similar score line ending our college careers. Of course, that is that UVA team that you talked about, but this will have a bad taste in the Pitt Panthers' mouth. But once they sit back and recognize what they accomplished as a program, as you said, this will be a team that will be celebrated for years to come as the Pitt Panthers continue this project moving forward with Jay Vidovich.
Sean O'Hearn, who's been excellent today. Out wide to McCune. McCune, early ball headed away. Pepperack will clear. And that will do it as just 10 seconds remain. The last kick of the year for the Panthers will come from the foot of Dexter. And the Hoyas, clinical performance, defeating the Pitt Panthers 5-0. Tomas Romero moves to 8-0-2 on the year. And Tom, in November and December, it's survive and advance. Well, today it was dominate and advance for Georgetown.
Yeah, and it was Derek Dotson in the Georgetown attack who got on the scoreboard early and often for Coach Weiss.
Several of the spectacular variety. That one from Dotson. And so that'll do it on the Big East Digital Network. Georgetown 5, Pitt 0. Come back and join us a week from today on the Big East Digital Network, where Georgetown will host the winner of UC Davis Louisville. But for now, happy Hoya Thanksgiving. That's all from Shaw.
Tell you. Likewise.